Neil, I'm 21 and I'm currently a student in the final year at Cambridge. I feel there's a lot of misunderstanding and bias against drugs out there, portrayed by the media, portrayed just by the government and in people's understanding. They're brought up being told that drugs are bad and harmful and very dangerous, whereas this is not the case. There are risks to it, but these risks are in most cases less than for illegal things such as alcohol and tobacco. I'd like to get this information out there and hopefully help correct this view of the world. I don't want to be identified due to future employees or my parents finding out. My parents have always told me not to take drugs, just to say no, same as, school. And it's come up a few times, have you taken drugs? Do you know anyone that's ever taken them? Have you ever been offered? And unfortunately I had to lie each time. I don't want to lie, I'd like to tell them, but they wouldn't understand, at least not yet. I don't think they know anything about them other than what is told in the media that, the occasional person dies from taking a pill. I used to drink a lot, like a crate of beer and a bottle of vodka in a night. And when I got to university and started smoking more weed and taking other drugs, I realised that I didn't need to drink all this and I could have just as much fun staying sober or staying sober and having a little smoke. So these days I maybe have a beer at the most a week. Occasionally I'll go out and have 2 or 3 beers and that's it. I don't smoke cigarettes. Occasionally take ibuprofen, but not that often. I said no for a long time and just figured that I always said I'd say no and therefore I may as well. I can't remember the first time I actually tried it. I don't know why. I was probably just a bit drunk and curious and gave it a shot. For many years, the first few years at least for weed, I didn't like it. I smoked it occasionally, felt ill, maybe threw up. I'm not sure why I carried on taking it, rarely. Before going to uni, I was introduced to my first pills, however they didn't work. On joining uni, I met some friends and went to a big party where someone gave me a pill that worked, and it was an amazing night. And ever after that, I just wanted to experiment and find out more and try new experiences. There may have been people telling me, I should take it or I shouldn't take it, but I made the decision myself. People were always like, that's fine, that's cool, no one ever really, told me I should definitely take it or try to force it on me. I smoke a spliff most days. Other things, I take acid maybe once a month, ketamine when I have it once or twice a month, although not much recently due to it not being available. There are various other things such as mescaline, which I've tried a couple of times, but they are more a rare occurrence rather than a regular thing. Since it's exam term coming up soon, I am going on a drugs ban, drugs and alcohol of all forms until after the exams for the next 2 months. I don't think it's affecting my work at all. Then again, I have a rather biased opinion on that. I feel happy. I'm doing my work. I'm getting reasonably decent, grades in all my supervisions, and I'm hopeful of getting a first or 2-1. The only reason I'm stopping smoking and taking other drugs is because of the potential short-term memory loss, which I have noticed the effects of, but never to an extent that's affected my work. However, for exams, it's not that useful if halfway through you forget completely what you're talking about. I basically live off student loans and grants, so everything comes out of that, and I budget for the drugs, and I feel that where I'm not drinking alcohol, the money I've saved because of that, I can spend on drugs and other computer equipment and things. It has its risks, as does everything. If you take too much of anything, it can be fatal. I believe that, for example, acid and ketamine in the doses I take are safer than me drinking more than a beer in a night. I'm much more likely to do something very stupid after drinking a lot of beer, say running across a road or something, than I would if I had taken acid, ketamine or smoked a spliff. Marijuana I feel is more dangerous than most things. but only because I smoke it in spliffs and the spliff contains nicotine, and I know smoking that isn't good for me. And however, I prefer the effects of a spliff to that of a pipe or a bong. It started when I used to drink because I wasn't good at talking to people, and when I got drunk, I was more social and could have better conversations with people. Since then, when I started taking drugs, it's not been about the taking of the drugs, it's been about the experience. Just to see what it's like and to experience the wonders that taking, say, a hit of acid or K-holing can make you feel. How beautiful the world can look and different and unbelievable. It's just a fantastic experience. You feel great, everything looks amazing, and you'll never see this without the aid of drugs. And for that experience is what I crave. Watching, say, the side of a building ripple as if it was water is not something you could particularly see. It's something you could imagine just about. But to actually stand there looking at that building and just seeing the walls, wave and just ripple about, it's fantastic. I would like to try opium just the once for the experience, again, to see what it's like. However, I'm not going to go looking for that. I'm going to wait for that to find me, because I figure if I go looking for it, then I will go looking for it again, and I don't want to do that. Speed. I don't know why. A lot of people have said they've really had good times on speed, but the thought of it just doesn't appeal to me. I've heard people's concepts of time have been severely messed up, and I don't know, I just don't see the need to take that or experience that. Injecting anything, I don't want to do that. I don't see the need. I've taken coke once a few years ago. Again, it was a drug that I always planned to try but not to look for, and it found me a few years ago at a party. I had a few hits over the course of about 2 days, and it was an interesting effect, but I've experienced it now and I have no desire to go back due to the extreme addictiveness. I'd probably start with my mum and make sure she was happy and bring her into it slowly. Tell her about why I take them, tell her about what precautions I take, why it's not as dangerous as it's made out to be in the media. For example, in the media they can't say, yeah, a group of people last night took a couple of hits of acid each and had an amazing time. The media just can't say that, one, for the legal reasons of promoting drugs, and two, because it's just not interesting to most people. So I'd probably try and explain why her opinion of what drugs were was biased and not a very fair and accurate description, and I would ask her to listen to me fully explain it before she made her mind up about what to say. And I would tell her that I was going to carry on with what I was doing regardless of her opinion, because it's my decision to make, and I feel that the risks of taking drugs is safer than that of, say, drinking. I enjoy taking the drugs. In the dosage I take, I'm not causing any danger to society. I'm not going to, cause harm, go out and vandalise something, break something, break into someone's house, steal things, as people would be more tempted to do on alcohol, in my experience. I'd probably say about 50% of the people I know take drugs of one form or the other, illegal drugs. This, of course, is a disproportionate amount because I hang out with people that have similar interests to me. I would guess at maybe 50% of Cambridge undergraduates having tried, maybe 20% to 30% reasonably regularly taking something. Know what you're taking, look it up first, learn about it, find out what it does to other people, decide whether you want to take it, and then take it in an atmosphere that you feel safe in, with people that you feel safe with, and start small, build up after that. If you take a small dose of something and it doesn't affect you that much, then that's better than taking a large dose of something that affects you too much. I've done a lot of fairly stupid things on alcohol for no real reason, just getting home way too late and sleeping under my bench or not remembering what I've done. and waking up just with a feeling of regret, and that's one of the reasons I stopped drinking as much. I've never had anything like this from taking drugs. I've taken ecstasy and MDMA, 2 or 3 pills, which is a small dose compared with a lot of people I know. I used to like it, and then started to not so much regret taking it, but suffer from the come down and having chewed my gums too much and been in pain for several days or weeks afterwards, just feeling down and crap because of my serotonin levels. If I really want to dance lots and I have access to no ketamine or acid, and I fancy a pill, I might take 1 pill or a small dab of MDMA. If you take so-called too much, you fall into a K-hole, which I really enjoy, but isn't appropriate for most situations. However, I've always managed to control it when it's happened in like a club or something, and I've always sobered up reasonably quickly and been perfectly fine the next morning. There's been a lot of talk in America about legalising marijuana recently, especially for medical use. Marijuana and weed are a very well understood drug now. They have been used for years and years with no particular ill side effects that are damaging in the long term, other than the smoking tobacco along with it in a spliff. In Portugal, they have legalised all drugs about 8 years ago, and have noticed a significant decline in drug use compared to the rise that the rest of Europe has noticed. Legalisation would mean better research can be done into it. It can be used for medical reasons where potentially other things just won't work, and it will bring in money for the government. It will remove a lot of people from our prisons for minor drug-related crimes that aren't hurting society but are costing society hundreds and thousands of pounds a year, possibly more, for like prison fees and keeping them behind bars when they don't need to be.